Thank you, James. Thank you to Modern Day Debate for hosting. So this is a debate I never thought I'd have to have because I assumed that as a species we realized the practice of child marriage was an abomination at this point. But apparently Muslims, like Daniel, think this is a practice he can defend as a moral good.
And the obvious reason for that is because Islam disables moral reasoning and moral conscience and replaces it with blind obedience to revelation, and in consequence brings thoughtless evil and diffuses empathy in the world. Yet Daniel, the blind cultist who calls himself a skeptic, will pretend Islam cares for human well-being and not just advancing Islamic supremacy, and makes arguments like this. This quote is after the debate, by the way. The Christian view of human development, except the 17-year-old baby cubs are fornicating and sexting each other. In this argument, he pretends the 18-year-old limit is for no meaningful reason other than liberalism, Western industrialization, Western people oppressing others, in other words, and feminist conspiracies. It's a conspiracy, in other words, like evolution.
So because of that, we've got a deliberate campaign by humanists, by atheists, by Darwinists to miseducate the public on this particular issue.
Sounds quite conspiratorial, Sabor. I mean,
it does.
Is it just that some people?
Again, I need to see what those studies are because there is such a huge bias with the UN and global liberalism that is imposing this kind of
You heard it here first, folks. It's a conspiracy.
Oh yeah, because liberal power.
Okay.
My argument is a challenge to anyone who claims that it's not okay to explain why the attitudes shifted so radically. One of the reasons why the attitudes changed so radically is because of industrialization, is because of feminism. That explains the radical shift, not something inherent.
What study shows that? Now, the United Nations defines a child as anyone below the age of 18. I suspect Daniel will disagree with this because it's not the age of adulthood historically. So for the sake of clarity, I will define a female child as anyone who has not completed puberty. The CDC says puberty is complete in girls between 15 and 17, so it makes sense the following stage, age 18, is when we grant the status of adulthood. Where does the evidence, do these studies say the reason we started condemning child marriage was because of industrialism and feminism? Do they say that?
Yes.
Read them.
I cited
Because
Montesquieu, the first Western... Oh yeah, because liberal powers have never conspired to impose their values on the rest of the world.
Yeah,
right?
well,
because the liberal West never made up stories about children being abused in Afghanistan to justify bombing them or going to war, invading Iraq because of the weapons of mass destruction that we know Saddam Hussein have. The West never has any kind of conspiracy theory.
We have hundreds of Islamic groups conspiring every day to promote the Islamic way of life, many actively engaging in conspiracies to take down governments and infiltrate Western institutions. Some are the Muslim Brotherhood, Tablighi Jamaat, Hizb ut-Tahrir, Hamas, Hezbollah, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, literally hundreds. In contrast, the West spread its values organically, either because they naturally dominate, because they represent moral common sense and they work, either because countries care about their interests and geopolitics. The one is truly, therefore, conspiracies, people hiding behind closed doors and conspiring to take down ideologies and replace them with their cult. The other is the inevitable human state. Obviously, countries will care about their interests, will care about their security. Okay, that's the difference. You are a conspirator, the other is the inevitable human state, Daniel, in case you are wondering.
Who is Hizb ut-Tahrir? What can the Khilafah do to solve the refugee crisis in Syria?
So, you dare blame the West for the war on terror, and they were the conspiracy, the West. So, let me tell you what actually happened. Osama bin Laden, an Islamist like you, of course you are not a terrorist, you don't support violence. Let's make that absolutely clear. But Osama bin Laden, with his radical Islamist friends, conspired to attack the West, provoke a response, and with that way unite the Muslim world against the West and replace the Western world order with Islamic world order. That was a conspiracy. Okay, that was the conspiracy. Now, the West responding, that is not the conspiracy. That is responding to the threat. The more you hit the West, the harder it will hit back. Simple, Daniel. The same like coronavirus. Okay. The more dangerous is the virus, the more people are willing to do to counter that. What you ideologues don't understand, you fanatics, you radicals, is that world peace is hanging on a balance, on a knife's edge. It's not the given. World peace is going against human nature. We keep world peace with things like human rights, the UN. So, when you have radical Islamists jumping on this rope, jumping on this line, throwing planes into central New York, somebody will fall. This time was the Iraqi people that fell. The Afghani people that fell. Many US citizens fell. Okay? So, don't blame what happened to the inevitable state of the world, to the survival of the fittest nature of the world, that from the, I don't know, hundreds of thousands soldiers US sent to Afghanistan, some of them were bad. Oh, really? Some of them were bad. So, Osama bin Laden, because he had Allah on his side and he was a hero, he decided, I have a good idea. Let's poke USA in a way that they will respond. Like, for example, you have this dog. Let's go and start killing its puppies. But then, I have Allah. So everything will work out and we will live happily ever after. Okay. And what came next is the result. Simple. Daniel.
Because again, I have medical experts saying the reason it should not be practiced is because of all the harm it causes. Mental, physical, emotional, sexual.
We talked about every single factor, and it's your arguments don't make any sense.
Like what?
Like the fact that, okay, there's some likelihood of physical harm, like 2% chance of mortality for a child at age 12 or 10. You have the same mortality rate for a woman over 40.
Daniel makes a good point here. He says, women under 10 have the same mortality rate as women after 40. So why this bias in favor of one group over the other? Why? It's obviously because of liberal bias against one group. The same way there is a stigma attached against the North American Man Love Boy Association. Although they are all for equality and love, the same now is happening to other oppressed groups, like traditionalist Muslims and poor underage girls that cannot enjoy love and giving birth.
No, girls to ages 10
But you
to
have no
15
problem. You
are
have no
especially
problem with
vulnerable.
women over 40 having sex.
No, if they're going to cause problems and the medical experts are telling them not to have children, they should listen to the medical experts. I'm perfectly consistent
if there were a
with that.
taboo against women over 40 having sex, I bet the medical experts,
Medical
because your
experts
argument
explain
basically boils down to medical researcher, child marriage is immoral because it's illegal.
No,
That's
it's-
begging the question. We're asking, why is it illegal? Why is there a social
It
stigma?
causes severe mental and physical harm.
Where's the evidence for that?
To sane people haven't lost their mind from Islam, the answer is simple. First of all, as Michael said, A, there is additional harm in underage girls, psychological and much more. B, adult women can give consent and risk their lives willingly if they don't want to listen to their doctors. C. To deny a grown woman's last chance for motherhood has additional implications when it comes to human rights.
Should Muslims participate? Yeah, I mean, participate in space travel, that's fine. But I think the end of the world will come before humans have the technology to be able to leave low Earth orbit. So, yeah, you don't want to get it. Do we want to talk about the moon landing and what I think about that? I mean, this channel doesn't need like that kind of controversy. But the thing about space, once you leave the magnetic field surrounding the Earth and the Van Allen belts. So I studied this. I was a physics major at Harvard, have a degree in physics, studied astronomy. I worked in an astronomy lab as an undergraduate at Harvard. So there is a lot of cosmic rays in space, and they're highly toxic to humans. You get radiation poisoning when you're exposed to these cosmic rays. And they're so powerful, like these cosmic rays, gamma rays, for example, that they will penetrate a typical space capsule. The barrier of a space capsule, like with the space shuttle, which is retired, obviously, but the International Space Station is not that thick. It's not like lead. Like you need like this much lead, basically, like a foot of lead to block cosmic rays. And so until that that problem is solved, humans are not going to be able to leave the Van Allen belts around the Earth in order to go to, you know, the moon or Mars or anywhere else. So is that technology going to be developed before the end of Yom al-Qiyamah, before Akhir al-Zaman? Allahu Alam, I doubt it. I doubt it, even though they're constantly claiming that it's just they're on the cusp of doing it. But I don't think any astronaut who is with the current technology goes outside the Van Allen belts is going to get fried.
Daniel fits perfectly the profile of a conspiracy theorist, not just intellectually, but also psychologically. His views is not a result of rational, investigative nature, being a true skeptic, but psychological in nature. These people are not necessarily low in intellectual quality. Intelligent people might have this psychosis. A bright example is John Nash, a Nobel Prize brilliant mathematician who made fundamental contributions to game theory, but also suffered from grandeur delusion. I don't know whether that is the right word. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. He had persecution complex. I don't know whether you have seen the movie.
John Nash was one of the most brilliant minds of his generation.
Welcome to Princeton. Who among you will be the next Einstein?
Find a truly original idea. And it's the only way I will ever distinguish myself. It's the only way I will ever matter.
He saw the world.
Where's Nash?
Out there, looking for his original idea.
In ways that no one could imagine.
This flies in the face of 150 years of theory.
Congratulations, John.
It's the achievement of a lifetime.
Extraordinary gift
What can I do for the Department of Defense?
that set him apart.
You are the best natural code breaker I have ever seen.
You've done your country a great service, son.
Would push his mind
Get in.
What is wrong with you?
beyond its limits.
Somebody, help me!
John, open the door. Talk to me. Tell me what happened.
Did NASA fake the moon landing? The answer to this question is no. Yet a committed subculture of conspiracy theories vigorously argue the opposite. Many scholars dismiss conspiracy theorists as paranoid and delusional. Psychological data bolster their case. People who harbor conspiracist thoughts are also more inclined to paranoid ideation and schizotypy, a mild form of schizophrenia. As conspiracy theory expert Timothy Meller of Miami University has put it, these beliefs are often dismissed as the implausible vision of a lunatic fringe. One consistent finding in research on conspiracies is that those who lean towards one such idiosyncratic explanation are also likely to expose others. That any one conspiratorial belief serves as fodder for further fringe thinking. Once a person has decided that officialdom is deceptive in one case, other disturbing world events may appear to have similar hashed-up origins. Conspiracy theories propose without having collected rigorous data to support their case. That powerful people or groups are secretly plotting to accomplish some sinister goal. Illustrates another facet of conspiracy thinking. A person can end up espousing contradictory beliefs. The study wounded that people do not tend to believe in conspiracy theory because of the specific of a sim, but rather because they possess higher order belief that support conspiracies. Thinking in general. A strong distrust of authority will be one such overarching ideological lens. In a belief system in which authorities are fundamentally untrustworthy, alternative, even outlandish and contradictory explanations for troubling events can seem plausible, as long as they are consistent with a skepticism towards the powers that be. Yet the deep mistrust of authority that such people harbor also extends to the realm of science. Philosopher Karl Popper argued that the fallacy of conspiracy theories lies in their tendency to describe striking events planned, thereby grossly underestimating the random nature and unintended consequences of many political and social actions. Popper was describing a cognitive bias that psychologists now commonly refer to as the fundamental attribution error, the habit of overestimating the intentionality behind the actions of others. A likely function of this cognitive bias is to help people make sense of the world by offering simple explanation for complex events. A number of studies have shown that belief in conspiracy theories is associated with feelings of powerlessness and uncertainty. In other words, adopting conspiracy beliefs recasts the world as a more predictable place. A tangible enemy absorbs the blame for problems that otherwise may seem too abstract. That was an article from Scientific American, Why People Believe in Conspiracy Theories. Yet it could have very easily be a psychological analysis of Daniel. The profile of Daniel fits this perfectly. Okay, that cannot be a coincidence. That a random psychological analysis of a conspiracy theorist fits perfectly with Daniel. Okay, that cannot be a coincidence. So I'm asking now Muslims, do you seriously think that it's just happened? The world is all conspiracies, 100% conspiracies. Nothing is as it seems. And Daniel is right. Or maybe Daniel is a conspiracy theorist. What is more probable? I don't know. That reminds me a joke, a Greek pond or joke, I don't know. The sailors are shouting to the captain, "Captain, turn the wheel. We are heading to the rocks. Captain, turn the wheel. We are heading to the rocks." And the captain responded, "No, I'm going straight. The world is turning." And I feel the time's a ways to go home. So where you going tomorrow? And I see the things I lost to go on. So won't you even care? And I feel it. and I feel it. Where you going tomorrow? Where you going with the mask found? Feel it, I feel when the dawn begins there. We used to smell it all. When I feel the lights will dance on the weather, so it is raining in your bedroom, and I see that these are the lies without a way. So won't you even care? And I feel it. I see it's easy. Where you going for tomorrow? Where you going with the mask I found? Feel that I feel where the dawn begins. Where the dogs are finding? Got time for tomorrow to find me. To find me. Where the dogs are finding? Got time for tomorrow to find me. To find me.